Hey guys, just want to make a quick video with the last minute changes the day before 9.1 is set to go live. Pretty big changes too. A lot of DPS, specifically range DPS, we're looking at going Curie in this patch and changing from Night Fae. But as it turns out, the Kyrian Covenant that everyone was going to change to has now received significant nerfs to multiple soulbinds, which is very fascinating. Actually, I say that with the exception of Mechanos, who actually received a buff in a way. However, it's not too sure if we're going to be going Mechanos. Really, Pelagos is what people were changing for. This guy right here. And it's looking like, so as of today, the mastery increase is going down, but it's by a flat amount. So it's only going to be, 45 mastery. That's not a huge deal. That is a lot. That's 3 socket spots, essentially. So there's a lot of mastery loss there. But the real significant change is going to be this 10% primary nerf with the mastery nerf. Those combined, you're going to lose a lot of damage that you otherwise would have had just passively from going Pelagos. This pretty much makes it in contention with Night Fae. The Sims were close. Pelagos was just beating most of Night Fae, specifically Naya's Soulbind, by about 200 or 300 DPS, depending on your spec and your class. Specifically looking at Marksman Hunters, who were all changing from Night Fae over to Kyrian. And now there might not be a real reason to, considering, this is still, the damage numbers will still probably be slightly higher. But Wild Spirits tends to line up better for Hunters. And so, you're really probably going to end up staying Night Fae, especially because when you think about it, it's way better to have the blink, especially if you're looking at fights like Eye of the Jailer, right? Where you can blink over the laser and not have to stop DPS. So things like that really, that's not the fight you're going to hinge it on, but that mobility applies to a lot of fights. So with these nerfs, I think Pelagos is now not a necessary thing that you're going to have to do. I think there's going to be ways where there's going to be fights where Night Fae is probably even, if not better. The added mobility, ability to skip mechanics, that'll increase your DPS there. So I expect Night Fae to be the go-to covenant once again for 9.1, which I'm very excited for. I think that's a way better covenant. But besides that, let's move on just a little bit. Clea, she got some tank things. I'm specifically looking at the DPS changes. Chance to critical strike is increased by 2% for every nearby ally, up to 6%. That's very strong. Not really what people were going for. People were really looking at this Pelagos, and Demon Hunters were looking at Mechanos because they had this weird effect that was making them get, basically he would spawn every 45 seconds instead of every 4 minutes, which is insanely broken. That might still be active. So Demon Hunters still looking to going Kyrian, specifically damaged Demon Hunters, because this is probably going to be your go-to spec. It's probably going to destroy every other one. But Hunters, Mages, Kyrian Mages, I believe Kyrian is still going to be best. Arcane Mages Kyrian is still going to be best for Arcane Mages, but for Hunters, I really think that we're going to stick with Night Fae. Venthyr Covenant got some nerfs. Buffs, actually, excuse me. While you're above 80% health, gain 1% primary stat every 2 seconds, up to 5 times. That's very strong. That's going to be nice. And then Door of Shadows, getting the shield, is going to be some extra mobility. Venthyr is looking really, really good. There's a lot here that I would definitely consider. But I don't think Venthyr ever really competes with Night Fae or Kyrian for most ranged DPS classes. So I think, it's going to be, Priests are going to stay Night Fae, Marksman Hunters going to be staying Night Fae, Fire Mages will stay Night Fae. I guess Venthyr was looking to be the covenant for Balance Druids. So, this, not sure if they were planning on going General Draven. I think they were going Nausea. And so this isn't really going to affect them, but if they end up going General Draven, this would actually be a pretty nice change. The extra damage. Let's see, and then that See, the problem with this is it requires positioning at bad times. So Soothing Shade requires you to move to Tubbins and Gubbins' umbrella on the ground, the shaded spot. And it's always just been very weird because it occurs and it's not always the easiest to get to. And while the mastery is very nice, you already have a ton of mastery from stacking it, and you get a ton of mastery from the Night Fae Covenant ability when you go Naya. So this is nice, but there's easier ways to get this mastery when you need it, as opposed to when they randomly summon the shade on the ground. So I think Balanced Druids, if they're going Venthyr, they're going to go with Najda. No real changes there. If they're not, they're going to stay Night Fae. And actually, let's move down to Night Fae a little bit. Necrolord, I believe Ellie Shamans are Necrolord, but I think even half of them are Night Fae. And, this is actually pretty not bad. 137 mastery, up to 5 stacks for 5 seconds. It's pretty good, but it's really for Mythic Plus kind of thing. It's you only get 1 stack per target every 10 seconds, so it's basically 137 mastery for 5 seconds for half of the fight. It's not that great. There are better options for mastery. Extra damage here from Plague Divisor. But let's hop down a little bit to the important changes. Dreamweaver's Field of Blossom is going to put flowers at your feet for 12 seconds. That increases your haste by 15% while you stand in them. Now that can be very strong for certain classes, especially when you consider the fact that she has a cheat death in her pod, where if you die, you get put in a stasis form, and after a little while you'll heal back up and get right back in the fight. So that could be potentially very good for progression. And when her other changes, when you take damage below 80% health, you gain a shield for 20% of your maximum health. So that's a little bit of a nerf. No one was really going Dreamweaver for the shield, though. That's just a slight thing. If you're going Dreamweaver, if you're going Night Fae, you're probably going for the damage. So this is the real changes you're looking at, and this is really a buff to Dreamweaver. However, almost everyone is going either Corinne, if there's a lot of ads that you want to get her constant critical buffs on, or Naya for the single target damage, who actually received a nerf. It's going to be attack power times 0.3312 instead of 0.36 times 1 plus versatility times 6. It's a weird metric, but it's going to probably be around a 5% damage nerf to Naya. Just her burrs. It's not that huge considering burrs is probably doing 5% of your damage. So really this is like a 0.25% damage nerf overall. Very, very small. Plus you're going to have more versatility this patch. So it's probably going to be exactly what it was in 9.0, if not more, because you'll have more versatility. Honestly, I wouldn't even. This is almost nothing. I don't even know why they made this change. It's not big enough to really warrant anything. Maybe they have a specific reason. But I don't see what it is. This change means almost nothing. So, and then the other one with Naya, and this is the primary covenant for most classes right now under Night Fae. When you fall below 50% health, you regain 20% of your health over 10 seconds and receive 10% additional healing from other spells and abilities. Very good spell. Really, really good ability, passive ability. If you're below 50% health, your healers are trying to spam heal you. You're going to regain 20% of your health over 10 seconds. This is almost exactly the Balanced Druid conduit. I forget the name of it. That would give you healing every time you drop below like 40% health, and then it would just heal you over time, and it gave you an insane amount of healing. This is exactly what that is almost, except every class can use it now. And that conduit got nerfed, like heavily nerfed, because Balanced Druids were so strong with it. So they essentially added that as a permanent bonus to Naya, which I think is really, really, really insane. And I think almost everyone is going to end up going Night Fae Naya, just maybe not just for this, but the survivability from this, coupled with great damage from burrs. You're getting a new Soulbind node. Even if other sims are slightly beating out Naya from the Venthyr Covenant or the Kyrian Covenant, the fact that you have this permanent, pretty much insane heal buff on yourself, and then you also getting Soul Shape, which is a blink, which is insane mobility for classes that don't have mobility. All of that combined, I still think Night Fae is too good to pass up. I think Carrion is going to be a wash. And I think if you go Carrion, it's because you want to get the absolute highest DPS possible, and you're farming the raid. You're not doing this on progression. You're not learning the raid. You're not struggling through fights. These are top tier. Absolutely must have that extra 100 DPS at the expense of safety because you trust your positioning enough. And even for people that don't trust their positioning enough, you have one error where you just need to reposition very quickly, or the team tanks the boss in the wrong position. Having that soul shape just to get there, you can make up that damage loss easily. So with that being said, I think Night Fae, I think Naya, I think these are going to be the go-to for almost every range DPS spec that matters. Sorry if you're not Shadow Priest, Balanced Druid, Marksman Hunter, Beastmaster Hunter, Fire Mage. Carrion, Arcane Mage, I think is the one exception. But I think the rest, I think Naya is where you want to be. So with that being said, thank you for listening. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and peace out.